Alex, aside from having to talk to this guy, how is your day going so far?
I didn't, Darren, I didn't think it could get any better, but you've proven me wrong.
Well, are you ready for some compliments here?
Yeah, you bring them on, always.
The wife and I are big Neil fans because without delving into spoilers or anything like that, season 1, Neil is pretty much just a funny guy. And then season 2, we see so much depth to the character. And I'm wondering, when you were filming season 1, did you know that Neil, without spoilers, might be getting more and more profound and deep?
For the majority of the first season, I did not. I was fully under the impression that Neil would exist in the multicam reality of the show. And it wasn't until we got that 8th and final script, that 8th and final episode where, and even then, I did not know what that meant in a second season. So, can I talk about the end of season 1? I can probably talk about the end of season 1.
We can wait to post this until pulling the curtain here, the embargo lifts.
Okay. So yeah, when the episode 108, that finale, when Neil gets hit over the head and literally smacked into the single cam reality,
yeah,
that was the first time where I was really saw Neil outside of that sort of multicam lens. But what I will say is that I knew that Neil, even while the play of it might have been sitcom-y and big and wide-eyed and silly, yeah, I knew that he was still a real living, breathing person who had been through a lot. If you listen closely to a lot of jokes that are said about Neil, you get a lot of insight into the real stuff that he's gone through. You know what I mean? He's been in prison. He's, obsessed with fire, just to name a few. And I sort of banked those things and said, okay, well, just know that about this guy. And while the play of it in the first season is going to be largely, much bigger, know that stuff. So I knew that. I held on to all that stuff going into the second season.
Wow. You mentioned it, the multicam versus the single shot. Are those filmed in entirely different days, and are those different sets?
Great question. Yes. So how we would film in the first season, well, in both seasons, but my shooting schedule changed quite a bit from season 1 to season 2, just based on the fact that Neil was around more in.
Oh yeah.
But in the first season, in both seasons, when we would film the multicam, we would film all the scenes for 2 full episodes. So we do 101 and 102, all the multicam scenes, usually in between 5 and 7 days total. So we would just cram, those days would be full on, nonstop multicam. We would just go cram as many of those as we could. And then we'd take 2 weeks to film the rest of the episode in single cam. So they're shot on different days, those scenes, but and the sets are the same physical location. But what was so genius that they would do is they would take the same exact set, mm-hmm, no fourth wall, no ceiling in multicam. When it would come time to shoot the single cam versions, they would drop a ceiling on and close the fourth wall. So it felt like, for the first few times I was on set, when coming from multicam into those single cam days, I was like, holy shit, this is, because it was the same place. I knew it was the same place, but it felt so different. And it was so, they achieved what they set out to do, which was completely transform the feeling of the space perfectly, because it went from the living room in multicam. It feels like something you'd see on Frasier or King of Queens.
Yes.
It totally nods to that, and it feels very homey and light and great. And then when they close those walls, literally, they say Allison feels the walls closing in. It feels gross and depressing and sad and
genius.
Yeah. So for that last scene in particular, I will say we did shoot. We shot the full scene from the top when I emerged from the laundry closet, from its entirety in multicam first, and that was like, the end of a day. We filmed that for several hours, and then the next day we came in and shot that exact same scene from start to finish. Even though we don't cut until the beer bottle smash, we shot the full scene in single cam.
Now, we didn't say who smashes what beer bottle or definitely what kind of beer. We didn't say anything like that. We just
No, I did not say the beer.
There's great art happening. But I think that what you just explained, that 2 episodes kind of being shot together in the clumps and all that, shows the depth of the cast to be able to, I'm hurt in this episode and I'm not hurt in this episode, but I'm still going to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's, in getting to watch Annie and Mary Hollis in the first season, knowing the baggage that they were bringing into those multicam scenes, I was always so impressed, because there's a nuance there where we, the viewer, and obviously I had read the scripts, but you know what they've been through and what they're bringing, and they still have to hold on to that and all of that truth while still giving this sort of, bigger, campy, multicam performance. That was always really impressive to see.
The Neil character, as we talked about at the top, really expands and grows and all that. And we've seen you show your dramatic chops in things, but was the long-term goal when you first got into this game to be a dramatic actor, or as a groundling, it was all comedy all the time?
All comedy all the time. When I found out, I'll be 100% honest. I'm a comedian. For those that are watching that don't know, I'm a member of the Groundlings Theater Company. I am a groundling, and we do sketch comedy and improv comedy, and that's it. And that's all I've been doing for the last 13 years in terms of my career. My profession has been comedy. So when I found out what season 2 was going to have in store for Neil, I'll be honest, I was a little, I don't know that intimidated was the word, but I definitely had to look myself in the mirror and go, you're going to be acting now. You're not just going to be doing yuck-em-ups and goof bits, so get your head on straight. And I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could. And I knew that I also couldn't have asked for a better scenario with which to come into my first, certainly the largest dramatic role of my life, in that I knew Neil. I knew him from top to bottom, inside and out, so I did not have to do a ton of, deep diving into this guy's psyche, because I had already sort of done that. I approached that first season, like I said, like Neil is a real person and he's been through some shit. And so I knew all of that going in, and I knew that I was able to translate all of that information in this character that I already knew so well into what I feel is a strong dramatic performance, and I hope people feel the same way.
I do. 2 quick questions, and I'm going to let you go. First one, the Boston accent, is that hard to get in and out of?
When I first got the role, I was so intimidated by, not even that got the role, when I first got the sides for the audition, I was like, shit, I don't know. I can do New York. I can do like Southern, but Boston, I had never, I never done it. And when I would practice, I was either doing a pretty decent job or it sounded like I was from Scotland or something. So I was like, oh God, this is terrifying. But I did a decent enough job, obviously. And then we had a dialect coach who was with us on set, and we would work, and we would just go through and making sure we were hitting operatives and things like that. So now I can like sort of jump into it, no problem. Because, and then also, you live there for, I lived there in total for 10 months while we filmed the total of 2 seasons. So yeah, I could probably do a decent job passing in and out of it.
I think you can. You just did. And the last thing, are you allowed to say what's next, what you have that's coming out next? Or are you under serious embargoes and you don't want to in the Hollywood Reporter and Variety?
I'll be honest with you, man. I'm back in my roots. I'm back at the Groundlings. That's where, I is my creative home. So I'm currently in the main company show at the Groundlings. It runs Fridays and Saturday nights, 7:30 and 9:30, and that'll run through the middle of September. You can see me performing improv there 2 to 3 to 4 nights a week sometimes. And that's really all I have on the agenda. I did also, right shortly after we wrapped the 2nd season, my wife and I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. So I'm also just embracing what it means to be, we have a daughter, she's 3.5, but what it means to be, a father to a newborn all over again.
Hence the Instagram profile, girl dad, boy dad, dad.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Well, looking forward to whatever's next, seeing you live with Groundlings, but really you should be proud of your work on this show and looking forward to whatever is next.
Awesome. Thank you, Darren. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Paltrocast.